Chapter 14. A flatmate from her hometown pass came out from the city on the train on the Thursday night, and we were both pleased because by then her drug schedule would not interfere with their visit to the pub opposite the station. Lemonade planned as the refreshment, a far cry from their party days. I drove her there. It was quite a short distance, but beyond her capacity. She had dressed for the occasion and had done her hair, as if it was just any night out. And when I came back to pick her up, I was struck by how happy she looked as she waved off her friend. The dingy station transformed under the night light. My girls, my siblings, my friends, and of course hers, were all desperate for news on the other end of the line. I ran up the most outrageous telephone bills while we were in Sydney, but I could only be glad that we live in the age of the mobile phones. Jimmy phoned many times, but she was reluctant to take his calls, complaining if he rang when she was asleep, terse with him. Later she confessed that there had been perverse accusations of infidelity, accusations about the good time she would be having without him. There was no explaining his thinking. It was inconceivable. He wanted to join us, but she wanted him to find a job. She had lost patience with his pursuit of the business, wanting him to take a labourer's job, any honest job in fact, that would bring in an income as she was still paying all his bills. She declared there would be no more of the business. The stress of their concern for Julia impacted on the daily interaction of my girls, and there were complaints that domestic matters were not always going well. The three of them, Emma's partner, Brad, and Jimmy as well, all living under one roof, tension building. But there was a new project to take up their energy. Julia had many connections in the surfing world, as we had come from a town well known for its connections with the surf. A huge fundraiser had been organised for Saturday the 8th of May. Surfboards had been donated by some of the biggest names in surfing, and there were prizes galore. My school had joined the bandwagon, and a colleague arranged for the sale of many of the tickets at school. Tickets were sent to relatives far away who sold them to workmates anxious to be involved. Julia was overwhelmed by the intention and such a powerful display of support, but she was glad we would be in Sydney for the event, feeling shy about receiving such blatant expressions of love. We listened to reports of the fundraiser on our mobile phones, and she was as excited as if she'd been there in person. Julie insisted that Jimmy attend, felt, despite his protest, that it was only right that he should be present. He neglected to take his mobile phone, so there were no reports from him. Everyone agreed that apart from the money raised, there was a wonderful sense of community, an experience that touched the hearts of all those who attended the benefit. Track's Surfing magazine reported the event, touched also with the unity of the community. We were up until all hours, no thought of tiredness, just the joy. In the morning, Jimmy rang to say he wanted $4,500 for a car and a new hoodie. He bought the hoodie himself with the money she had sent for the rent, but she refused him the card, disappointed at the very request. It was to be some time before she actually received any money, with tickets still to be accounted for. But in the morning she was delighted to be able to give some money to a couple who had an adolescent daughter who had been hospitalised with mental problems. They were such a sincere couple, struggling financially to pay their accommodation, and it gave Julia such pleasure to offer them a little help. Julia was receiving the invalid pension, but the fundraiser would assure that she had the money to pay for the bond on accommodation. She had sent Jimmy $800 from her pension so that he could pay for their rent at home and the hire car and an airfare to Sydney.